a little bit more. So as we get into our discussion that we're about to head into here shortly, I would hope that this will allow us to have a much deeper discussion now about this topic. And I would really like to also kind of get a little bit of an idea of how this has affected you in your understanding or your thoughts. Has this changed anything for you about how you speak to people, or how to try to love on somebody as yourself? So I believe it always begins with you. So you can only give what you have. So if we all have Yahuwah and Yahusha in us, and the Ruach, that's a frequency of love that's in us. We should be able to exude that same frequency, that same love, but also the same sternness that Yahusha had for the disciples and those that he was trying to show how to live right in love. You know, I hope that, because we're getting ready to go into the discipling phase of this ministry, and this here, I believe, was going to help us to understand the power of the word to another level when we are in the presence of someone, how we can affect that person just by our prayers, as we've seen, our thoughts, our intentions towards that person, and then, of course, our words that we speak onto that person that we're in front of, that we're engaging with, that one that we're in a relationship with. Speak life. Speak Ahabah. And let's see how that affects our beings, our families, and the life that's around us in our homes. I really think that we're going to be able to see and take this lesson, which is another dimension to me beyond just the written word. Being able to see it has a different effect on me, anyways, and I think it is with most people. It allows our minds to understand and maybe comprehend this on a whole nother level of the power and the responsibility that you and I have now to be able to see this from another perspective, another way. And it's changed me and my thoughts about this subject and about my words, my actions, because I can see how that will affect that other person now that I never really thought of before. So words really are abuse, and they really are probably worse than the physical, those scars, as I've heard many people say. So this is going into your molecular structure of who you are as a being is being affected by all of this. So I look forward to our discussion here. I'm going to start unmuting those that are looking forward to engaging in this discussion of Ahabah and what we talked about today. So, Brother Rod, are you with me? Doesn't look like he's there. All right. Well, I guess I'm going to go over here to Brother D. Are you with us? Can I see you? Where are you at? I see. There it is. Good morning. Good morning. So let me see if I can unmute you now. Or you can. There you go.
Shabbat shalom.
Shabbat shalom.
Shabbat shalom. This was a little different than I know you like a lot of scripture, but I wanted to me, this really moved me. I'm just kind of curious what your thoughts are on what we just seen and perspective of what we were discussing last week.
The first video didn't move me, but once those other videos started coming, the plants, the rice, the eggs, I've studied kind of this subject a little bit in the past. Being a musician, I've studied the power of music on like plants and like Beethoven versus heavy metal and rock and things like that.
Right.
And, I've read a lot about it. Haven't done any of my own experiments, so this kind of stirs me up to want to do in-home experiment with my wife.
Right.
Not to use me as the grounds. We mean that. We mean that.
But yeah, like getting a plant seems to be the shortest day. It's like a couple days, you know, to see the effect versus the 9 weeks. So I figured let's start with the shortest one. I'm curious. In my heart, deep down inside, I believe this is definitely legit, because I was telling her, I was like, we all quote the scripture that says life and death is in the power of the tongue, you know, but how much do we believe that?
Right.
And, you know, how deep does that really go? So I also learned in college, in marriage counseling courses, you know, the power of words. I remember, I forgot what doctor it was, some Christian counselor, but he does a lot of marriage counseling, and he was talking about how husbands need to treat their wives like plants. And instead of being frustrated at the plant because it's not growing and yelling at it and being frustrated, you speak tenderly to it and you give it the nutrients that it needs, you know, the proper soil nutrients, and, you know, you'll see the difference. And he was talking about, you know, he was verbalizing, he didn't show any visuals or anything, but he was citing sources on people who garden and plant and things like that. And he was talking about how a lot of testimonies of people, they speak to their plants, you know.
My mother does. Mama Linda does. She just made a comment the other day, because she used to go to the front room where they're at for Shabbat. She used to sit up there so she could hear the music that way. And so they were getting it. And she says they're not doing as well since I've not been up there.
Isn't that something?
Yeah.
So, I deep down inside, I believe it, man. I would like to confirm this by doing a little experiment for myself. That's really cool.
I agree. It really made me think about, how does this affect that person I'm in front of, screaming and yelling and demeaning and bringing down with our words and our thoughts and our anger, all those frequencies, and how does that distort that person? It's got to affect the person doing it too, but the one receiving it, I would, man, if I could see that under a microscope, I bet you that's the same as we see in the water molecule being affected, just on a major scale. So that's my thought, but I just want to interject that. Your thoughts, Milo?
Yeah, it's pretty interesting. Hi, Janaya. It was funny because he was saying, you know, and when we were off talking about still preaching, like repentance and things like that, where there are times where the harsh words are needed. And I said, well, that makes sense, because it's supposed to stir up something. It's supposed to stir up conviction when you are saying to someone, hey, you are in sin. Like, you are not with Yahuwah. Like, those are words that are supposed to stir something up within us. So I think it's very interesting. And
you're a viper, you're a wolf in sheep's clothing.
And we saw that,
you wicked person, you.
Yeah, we see that in the scriptures where they got so angry that the response to that was they wanted to kill the Messiah so much more. But that was already within them, and it had to fulfill prophecy. But it was, what I found interesting in the video, there were multiple things, but one was with the plants, and again, we want to do these experiments ourselves, but one with the plants, they were right next to each other when he spoke these words. And I said, I wonder why the other one didn't receive the words if it's right next to it. It's all 2 inches. He did mention that he was touching
he made physical contact.
The container.
And was directly in front of it.
Right? With those vibrations and things like that. And another thing that I was thinking, I was telling him, I know for myself, right? You know, there's certain times when I get to a certain anger point or rage, if I'm being very honest, I don't know how else to explain it, but a surge of energy, a surge of, I don't know the words to use it because I don't know how to express it. But it's almost like it feels like a release of bad hormones, like the bad heebie-jeebies type of thing. And I was like, that's pretty interesting, because I've noticed that within myself. And I said, okay, I can see how it affects individuals. And you were talking about how it affects the person that we're talking to, but how we internalize things. I'm thinking more of myself when I speak, or the thoughts that I think about, and when I meditate on them, not even speaking them, but just meditate on them, what they do with my actions, and they produce something. So it's very interesting, something to consider. I agree with him. I was wondering, like, how did they get the crystallized, all that stuff? But the actual, when I saw them,
I don't think I could practice that one at home.
Yeah,
that was too deep.
Yeah, that was difficult. But regarding the study, I did have some questions and thoughts as well. To move into that flow. So
you want to ask him if you can ask the question?
Oh, can I ask a question? I thought this was
Because
the
we're doing the
session
video
for.
thing right
Oh,
now.
we're doing just a video. Okay, come back to me.
No, ask him.
Oh, can I ask the questions on the study?
On what study?
Last week's study. This is the whole discussion.
Just speak clear. That's all. You're speaking really fast and you're mumbling.
You mean on the love, Ahabah?
Yeah.
Yeah, that's what this is for.
Just checking.
So there were.
Well, the first the videos that I did were just to expand upon the study. I've seen how they reveal something much deeper. It just happened to go into words and stuff like that. And so, but that was the intention of showing this, so we can see love on a different level, from a different perspective. So yes, let's go ahead.
Beautiful. So I'll put some questions and some commentary in the mix of it, because it'll be a little choppy since it's now. But one of the things that was noted was the hey, right? That it's the fifth letter, and that it's the number of Canaan, grace. I was just wondering if you could expound on that. Like, what does that mean? Where did you get that? I was trying to understand the connection between the number, the hey, the number 5, and grace. Yeah.
Well, I don't like to get into the numerology of things, but in the Hebrew, they do number, and they believe that there's something to the value of numbers, and what they mean, and what they're referencing, and that's in regards to, as far as the numbers and what they sync with, as I guess in the understanding of numerology, kind of like what we just seen. Words, they have a certain look to them. They have a different effect. Well, I think this is kind of the same in that sense, where they're looking at numbers and being able to use that also along with the letters as a communication of what they mean. You know what I'm saying? Kind of that same sense. So that's how I link those, because that's what they represent, as far as in that belief system of the numerology, with the letters and such. So that's why I referenced that.
Okay, perfect. So I can get to that. And then it was interesting. What I did like was this connection between love and action, right? So love is this giving action. Now I do believe it is an emotion in and of itself. What I found in this was when I was looking at the examples and going back through it, that love is to produce something. Mm-hmm. So when I was thinking about when Messiah says, if you love me, you will keep my commands. So you have this love, it's in and of itself, there's, for lack of better terms, this emotion, this feeling, this depth of something within you. But that if it's stagnant, then it's not true love, because it has to produce something. It has to, the giving that he gave, the giving of himself, the sacrifice that he gave, when we obey our the commandments, it lends itself to an action. It's a part of the fruit, if you will, comes from it. So I did love that connection with all of the giving that Yahuwah gave to us.
I think the feelings and those type things that we convey as emotions, I think they're the frequencies that we're getting from those feelings or those words. Mm-hmm. Because I think that's doing something inside of us that's changing, as we've seen how they look, the structures of these things. So if somebody's saying something, maybe it's doing something to our water molecules, and that's why we're feeling those emotions, because they're also connected to these feelings, I guess, that we experience. But I believe it's all frequency. It's connected somehow to that, which would go back to our words again, and our thoughts,
Yep. Good stuff. And I'm going to pause and I'll come back to let others come on in.
All righty. Well, thank you for that. That definitely is a good start. I got to figure out how do I unconnect that one. There we go. All right. Brother Rod, are you ready for me? All right. You're unmuted, my friend. Shabbat Shalom. You got to unmute yourself, though, I think. There you go.
Shabbat Shalom. Yeah, I was ready for you first time, but I was watching you on the screen, so it was a delay. So by the time I put my video up, you had moved to D.
I got you.
Of course, they took it and ran with it like a running back to the end zone.
They did.
But praise Yah, praise Yah. Listen, that video spoke volumes to me personally. You know, my dad was a beautiful man, but he was hard on discipline. And you know, it blended to, it came over to me in that same way. And then I was a Marine. I am a Marine. So keep that in mind when it comes to the stewardship of my home. You know, I've gone through a process. You know, I'm prayerfully, my wife will tell you I'm much better now, hopefully. But my words have affected my home, the way I say things, you know, whether it be to my son or whether it be to her. You know, one of the things that is very apparent is that when I come home, they're already here. So they seem to go out of their way to make things good when I come home. I mean, it's probably an unconscious thing, but something that they do. You know, they're there to greet me when I come in. Uh, you know, there's always it's a special moment every day. This is every day. Um, but whatever has happened to me or whatever has affected me during that day, when I walk through the door, and they're sitting right here, so they'll vouch for it, sets the course of the evening. If I'm in a great mood, it, you know, now it can be recovered, don't get me wrong, but if somebody just cut me off or I had a bad day or I walk in and I see something out of place, you know, there are times where I've said things that have changed the mood, you know, and I could see the air go out of the balloon. And no better visual example than the videos we just watched. And you know, like I said, we can always recover, we can always apologize, we can always change our mood, but sometimes, you know, um, uh, actually, Darrenell brought up a great example with the husband being like treating his wife like he takes care of plants, because you know, we're likened to the vine dresser of that vine so that grape can mature the proper way. You know, so it comes forth in its season. If we're saying the wrong things, if I'm saying the wrong things to my son, or you know, we are to discipline, but we are to discipline with balance. If I still have to encourage him, I still have to excite him in ways that will promote him to do the right things. You know, Yahuwah always comforts us, even when he chastises us. You know, so I also saw it when I was coaching kids, you know, in track and field. Like the way I spoke to them, I could speak to the boys differently than I could speak to the girls. You know, I could tell a boy to lift your knees and run that turn the proper way. If I say it to a girl, she'll stop running, go and sit in the corner and cry, you know? And I had to learn how to speak to them properly, to feed them the right things, to motivate them. And how much more does the Father do that to us? You know, so I'm blown away from that sense. I had the same thoughts as far as love causing you to do some things. If I love my wife, I'm gonna say husband, if I love my wife, if I love my child, there are things that I do without question, without, you know, hesitation. You know, if you love me, keep my commands, you know, commandments. Those are things that we do without hesitation, you know, so no doubt, I'm blessed in so many ways. You know, even on the job, you know, when we talk to coworkers or colleagues or those that work for us, there should always be something even encouraging, even in correction. You know, sometimes encouragement comes first. This is what you did right. Okay, now let's look at these other things. You know, so words affect our bodies, our molecular makeup, like you showed. You know, so I'm good, man. I really appreciated the word. I see it clearly. You know, I see it as it relates to scripture. So you want to
Oh
say something?
yeah, that was the intent and purpose. Yay.
Amen.
June got anything she'd like to add?
Yeah.
Nah. Shabbat shalom.
Shabbat shalom. Good morning.
You want to share anything on it? What I said? How it affects
Did you want some more?
you? She's good.
Okay. Well, thank you guys for your input as always. That's appreciated. I see Brother D got your hand back up. I'll go back to you real quick then.
Both of us. Did you have
Go ahead.
anything? Oh, okay. I had 2 questions I want to go through. Good stuff. And it's so true. You can see it played out, you know, Brother Rod talking about atmosphere changing. There is something to it. And what I was thinking and questioning, mulling over, is when people say one thing, but you can see that their intent is different. How does that play? Where you can say, I love you, and say it in a manner that is like, what? Like, okay, in an angry manner. So I'm just wondering how that will play when you use these right words, but the real intent, the thoughts behind it do not match up. And I guess
I imagine it's not as bad as saying the negative, but not as good as saying the positive. It's probably going to be somewhere in the middle.
In the middle type of thing.
Like if you say, in other words, like if you say, it's almost like saying you're going to do something and not doing it, but the person that says that doesn't say they're going to do it, and then they do it. Like the action, obviously, as the cliche goes, speaks louder than the words. You know, I would say so. I mean, there are certain aspects of life, you know, in the family makeup that are dependent upon your words matching what you do. Your words matching what you say. Even to the point of, you know, I don't know if you remember when you brothers, you know, brought me in as an elder. You know, one of the things I said was, if my wife and son can't agree to what you're saying, then I can't accept it. You know, and you know that what you see ought to match what they see. So, absolutely, I agree with that statement.
Good stuff. So with that, I have a question. And you know me, my questions. 1 Corinthians was one of the ones that you brought up, 13, 1 to 8, right? And it talks about if I speak in tongues of men, of angels, if I give the gift of have the gift of prophecy, if I have a moon and to move mountains, if I give all that I possess to the poor, surrender my body to the flames, but don't have love, then I'm a clanging cymbal. I'm, you know, I'm nothing. I mean, these are strong things. It's like I gain nothing. How can you do these or have these things, but not have love? Like, can we expand on that
The way he did.
verse, or those verses, 1 Corinthians 13, 1 to 8?
That's a wonderful question. How can you have all of that without having love? That's an amazing question, because I don't know how you can either, because you can't, all that comes from the Ruach, right? Which basically is Yahuwah, who is love. He is Ahabah. So I think what that's really saying, it's not really saying without these, I think what it's saying is if you don't have him who is Ahabah, then all of those other things, you really, I don't think you can actually have them or walk in them, but you're not, if you are, you're not doing it his way, right? Would that be more like a false prophet kind of thing? You know, kind of conveying some things that maybe aren't real? Because if love is the center or the nucleus of all of those other things, then you have to have that, because without that, then it's not really all of those other things. It's imitations, if you will, maybe, of those things that are man-made. Maybe they're not really Ruach inspired, because those are the fruits of the Spirit, or the, you know. So how can you have those? So I think that's why it's saying you're like a resounding clong or whatever that word is, just making noises, you know, because there's nothing heartfelt about it. There's no substance there. Everything begins with love. The foundation of us began with love. He loved us so much, he created us. You know, if he's the center of everything, Without him, we are nothing but we're out here resounding gongs, making a whole lot of noise, babbling. There's no substance there, I think. So that's the only answer I could give to you. I don't know how else you could have those without love, and that's kind of what I see it saying. Now, Brother D, you got a deeper insight? Oh, you can't get off the mute? All right, let me change the gallery view here so I can mess with that. Okay.
I don't have anything to say on that. Nope.
Okay.
Actually, but as you're talking, what I was thinking was it says Yahuwah is love. And if I were to substitute that word with Yahuwah, it makes so much sense. You can do all this. Like even those who prophesy his name, at the end they'll say, I prophesy your name. He says, depart from me, you workers of lawlessness. But if you don't actually have him, there's
right.
in there, like people go out and feed the poor, but they are not
cast out demons, prophesy,
or those who do like a lot of good works, like very beautiful things that I need to grow in. I'll be very honest. But going out feeding the homeless and caring for the orphans and widows and have that portion, but they really are not seeking Yahuwah. So they're doing in this humanistic effort. And I think all good things do come from Yah. I think that is embedded within us because he created us and we're meant to have that image. So I think that's where it stems from, but that there can be a disconnect from people doing it and actually relaying it back to this is why. So
it all comes back to him.
Yeah, I think also too, without the love being the center, all of those gifts become imbalanced. They become the focus. And I was reading through Acts, where the tongues came down, and it was to draw attention to the Messiah, not the other way around. If I'm driving down the highway and I see a blue H sign, I'm not going to drive up to the sign and ask for help. I'm going to follow the sign to the hospital where all the help is there. And the signs, the gifts are supposed to lead us to the love of the Father, of the Son. So I think that is definitely the focus there.
I agree.
I wanted to read the story of Yahusha and the fig tree. Kind of matches up.
Yes.
I thought about it. Matthew 21. So it says, Matthew 21, verse 18. Now in the morning, as he returned to the city, he was hungry. Seeing a fig tree by the road, he came to it and found nothing on it but leaves. And he said to it, let there be no fruit from you forever. Immediately the fig tree withered away. Immediately, it says. I think this would be the exaggerated, experiment of this, because Yahusha is the word of Yahuwah and he created the whole heavens and the earth. So, I mean, what he says, it's going to happen real quick, but.
That other one, and it began in 9 days, that thing was already dying like that. And I stopped the video actually before it finished. I guess I got a little shorthand. Now I wish I would have let it play so you could see it. But that particular plant dried up from the inside out, and it began to decay and mold. That was later on. So it's exactly the same as what happened in that story. It dried up and withered away. That's exactly what happened to that plant. So that's a perfect example. And yes, of course, he has probably more authority to do that. It's going to be a little quicker, but the results is going to be the same. And that's part of how he made you and I in the same image and likeness of him. We have the ability to do things with our tongues too. What we say is going to come back. It's going to, what you reap, you sow. What you sow, you reap. That kind of thing. What you give, it's going to come back to you. That's like that boomerang effect. So as our words go out there, they're going to achieve what we say, whether we want it or not. So that's why we got to guard these things, because they're going to kill or they're going to give life, one of the two, And we don't want to give life to something bad, like letting our anger out and saying these words that we feel bad about later. But those words are killing that person or that whatever it is that you're directing it towards. And that's what I got from this is like, man, I can't do that no more. This is going to really check me the next time I start to get into that discussion, a heated discussion with somebody, I think you could probably adjust that and make it more positive by just changing your words instead of going into the negative words, which are going to definitely kill that conversation and that person are going to be affected negatively. Why don't we do the other way and combat that and bring it back into where it's going to be more positive? And I see that we can do that now with our words. And that's why our prayers, when we come together and unite in our prayers and we're speaking for that person, we're doing exactly that. They may not be able to see it, but our words, our prayers, our thoughts towards that person, they're being affected by that, as we've seen in that molecule of prayer, how it affected that water. And it was beautiful too, by the way, I thought. But
yeah, and I just want to say something. I don't want people getting confused or misled in any way. There's always balance to everything. So it's not to say we're not going to be rebuking anybody or we're not going to be sharing truth. Don't get it twisted, missed it, just, all right? But
I think there's a difference, though, to somebody being disciplined,
yeah,
corrected,
right,
in positive ways and bringing them back into then going off into the negative that will have a negative effect.
But see, I disagree. It can't even necessarily be that because we don't see Yahusha even modeling that all the time. We have to go with what Yahusha did and the examples we have. There's going to be times where we need to be strong and say some negative things because it's reflecting the way the person is behaving. I don't want us to
really a negative.
I don't want us to do a positive reinforcement to every single situation because that's not the model that our master, displayed for us.
Yeah, but he did it all in still in sternness and in love. So maybe the way he brought it to them wasn't how we would see it. I mean, I think you can still deliver correction and sternness to somebody and still be that way without demeaning them or degrading them is what I'm talking about. It's a different way, a different frequency, if you will. It's a different tone, if you will. I don't know. But being stern is one thing, and being correct and being righteous and getting them on the right path, that's what the Father does to us. He corrects those that he loves. And so you can still do it. I think it's almost in the regards to don't be angry be angry and sin not kind of thing. Is there that barrier, that boundary that you just, that can go from one side or the other is all I think. I think there's all of that. But for sure, we're not going to let people get away with stuff that are.
I'm not.
I know you're not.
I'm good.
I know. Oh, we know.
I'm not.
Well, we love you, brother. That's who you are, and that's why we are. We need you in that role.
Somebody's got to say something.
For sure. Love you, man. Anything else?
I only want to end with one verse. In James, because you mentioned the tongue. James 3:5. I don't know where to end, but it says, "So the tongue is also a little member and boasts great things. See how a small fire can spread to a large forest. And the tongue is a fire. The world of iniquity among our members is the tongue." That's a powerful statement. "Which defiles the whole body and sets on fire the course of nature and is set on fire by hell. For all kinds of animals and birds, of reptiles and sea creatures are being tamed and have been tamed by humankind, but nobody can tame the tongue. It is a restless evil full of deadly poison. With it, we Barak our master and father, and with it we curse people who are made in the image of Elohim. Out of the same mouth comes forth blessing and cursing. My brothers, these things ought not to be so." And then it goes on.
That's great.
That's right on time again. I mean, goes right down the same line. I mean, there's something to this lesson, I think, that to us to be able to understand the power of our words and how they really do affect things in a positive or a negative. I think we don't see it that way because we can't see our words. We only hear them, so we don't know and we don't see the effects they have. We just don't understand. That's why this was kind of very important to do this way, so we could actually see the power of the words that are spoken and how they affect things. They affect things in a positive or negative way. And when we got to see that through these experiments, and you can't see that any other way, just because I'm talking to you, I don't know. I can't see really what it's doing to you on the inside. by what I'm saying. And now I'm more conscious of it, I think, because now I know that every time I speak a word, it's affecting you some way, you know. And I think we got to be responsible for that. Uh, and I think that's what he says, you know. We're going to be responsible for every word we utter. So it put me in check today. So I agree. That's a beautiful passage, though, but it's right in saying the same things that we've just seen. So isn't that how it brings this lesson to these words of Scripture to another level of seeing them in a different way? I guess, you know, we think we can only imagine so much when we read a word and what it's trying to say, but I think when you can actually see it too, then it's more powerful, has more of an impact. So appreciate that. Anything else? No, very good. All right, I see Ezzy, you've had your hand up, and Brian too. I'm gonna come to you, Ezzy, and I'll be to you, Brian, in a second.
Shabbat Shalom.
Shabbat Shalom.
I was just gonna say just a few words because I gotta hop on. But I appreciate the video and the lesson. With the video, it definitely made a lot of things clear, and it confirmed what the Ruach has been showing me as far as, you know, when it comes to disciplining our children and speaking things, because my mom is going through mental torment, demon possession, and at times I don't really have anything to say. So I'm still studying in that, but it also made me see that ignoring the situation doesn't always yield a good result either. And then as far as, you know, speaking life, I think it's important that we, you know, go to the scriptures with any issue that we're dealing with. I mean, those stories are there to guide us and to answer certain questions that we can even apply today in certain situations. So it makes sense now how, you know, because I don't always have the right things to say, and I'm a single mom. So I need that authority, that authoritative tongue at times. And me being a softie, because I'm a weaker vessel, the Father does that very well. I think Brother Diamilo, you know, pointed that out, that the Father is very intentional where he, you know, he encourages, but he also, you know, I don't want to say curses, but the truth is that rod of correction that brings about a stirring within, because the Father who sees in secret, he, you know, he knows what's going on internally. So it makes me think of what I was sharing with my son last night, you know, that he needs to be intentional with his reading and with his understanding, and not to do things just because I'm telling him to do it. Because in the last days, you can't say, well, my mom said, you know, I should believe, and that's not going to get you in the gates. The Father sees. He sees us on a molecular structure. He created us. So if those crystals ain't right in your body, you're not going to get in by off of just your words.
Right.
So that really made it really solidified that thought of, you know, we have the power to speak life and death through our tongue. It also makes me think of the importance of immersion, because, you know, we, with the outwardly expression of, you know, our internal confession of accepting Messiah and giving all, worshiping and loving Yahuwah with all our being, you're speaking that authority over that water before you're immersed, and then you're immersed, and then you rise up as a new being. So it just makes it more significant or more important, because we're speaking those words over the water and giving authority. And water is a witness. I mean, the scripture says that. So for you to speak that authority over the water and then be immersed in it, that's just really, really profound on that level.
You just said water is a witness.
Yeah.
Water is a witness? A witness of what? Of what you just said?
No, water is a witness of yeah, definitely the authority that you proclaim, but also the things that have been here before. I mean, in Genesis, the water was here unformed. There was just darkness before the Ruach moved, you know, on the earth. So water is a witness.
What I was trying to say is that water encapsulates that thought or that word, and it takes on the likeness of that word in it, and so therefore it's witnessing for that word or that whatever it is. The water is being a witness to what you're saying to me because it's
Right.
affecting me on that level. That was a thought that just came when you said that. It's a witness.
Hallelujah. Yeah, yeah. So it's, I mean, awesome study. Awesome. So thank you, Todah, Yahuwah, for that revelation. It's awesome.
Hallelujah. Yes, hallelujah. Love the revelation. Thank you for your input because it's beautiful when others be able to verbalize. It changes my frequency of my molecules. How about that? Shalom, shalom. Brother Brian, here we are, friend. It's your time.
Shalom,
You're on the stage.
shalom, everyone. Yeah, a lot of brother D and me though. Yeah, y'all scored that touchdown, got the 2-point conversion, and that. Yeah, a lot of stuff. Yeah, I was thinking that y'all already said, and especially the Matthew 7. I think it's Matthew 7:22. Which they said they're gonna say to me, Lord, Lord, haven't we prophesied in your name and did all those wonderful works and things, and how it corresponds to 1 Corinthians 13. If you don't have love, you don't have nothing. And I was just thinking about the Proverbs verse. I think it's Proverbs 12. Is it? Yeah, it's Proverbs 12:13 or something, whatever it is. It says, that life and death is in the power of the tongue, and those who love it will eat its fruit. And the idea of like your words producing fruit in your life or in the lives of others, it's like it's so profound when you think of it. And it may not happen at that exact minute, but over time, like you showed in those videos, it's going to have tremendous implications. And yeah, I just think about that myself while I'm at work and stuff. And it's something that I've been working on myself, like not being involved in foolish joking and jesting and all that sort of thing, and being that ambassador, that representative of Yahuwah, not just in front of my brothers and sisters, but in front of the world, being that salt in life, and your conversation and the way you act. It's like your life is worship to Yahuwah, your whole life, your whole being, everywhere you go, everything you do, everything you say, and those frequencies, like it talks about, like in those videos, and how like I find, like, for years I would pray and I would feel like those, like, frequency vibrations within my spirit, and especially when I started to pray for individual people, it's like even more intense. And it's like that presence of Yahuwah. It's always like a frequency you can feel. You can like physically feel it. Well, I can anyway. I can physically feel it in the atmosphere. And I was like, those videos just remind me of those vibrations, and the words you speak are literally sound waves. They're vibrations, and they are recreated in Yahuwah's image. And we have, our words have a creative force, and that's why he warns us to be careful of our words. Life and death is in the power of the tongue. Let your conversations be nay, nay, and yea, yea. And so, yeah, that was very powerful, Rick. And yeah, thank you for that. And that just, it gives me, like, the visuals of that is like even more profound when you see that in that sense. And yeah,
Yes,
that's all.
I know. I had the same reaction. Something you were saying that made me think of this. When we're declaring Yahushua HaMashiach as our master, our Adon, when we say when that's our statement of faith. That's the moment that we get converted. We're saying Yahusha. You're saying Yahuwah saves. That is a frequency that you are expressing with your voice, with your words, with the frequencies of those words you're declaring. And I believe now that the names play even more of importance, for the fact that they have an identity that's deeper than just the sound or the pronunciation of that name. I believe now that it takes on an image of Yahusha or Yahuwah when you say his name. I would love to be able to see what that looks like in the water molecule, because I think you would be able to see an image of the likeness of who he is in his name. You know what I'm saying? So
Yeah.
that's what stuck out to me as you were saying that, the importance now of our confession of who we're saved by. It's a whole different frequency when you say Yahusha versus any other name that you may say. So it actually is creating inside of you when you say that, what you believe, you're voicing it, and now it's affecting your molecule structure of your water being into the likeness and image of what you're saying.
Yeah, yeah. I was just thinking about that one. I don't know the exact verse, but that one passage that says, "As the rain falls from the Shamayim and waters the earth, and causes it to bring forth in bud, so shall my word be; shall not return void, but shall accomplish that for which Yahuwah wills it, which He wills, and how He sent forth His word to heal us." And yeah, it's a creative. His word is like that. Yeah, it's a creative force. And like you said, when you speak His word, it's speaking life to the situation, and that's so, yeah, that's just, it's just so powerful. And like we've always seen in this fellowship with, like, when we pray for different situations in people's lives, and how He came through and he healed the and and it's powerful. Yeah, it's just powerful thing. Yeah, thanks, Rick. Yeah.
Hallelujah. Thank you, Brian. Appreciate it. Appreciate you. And you speak in the same words. You know, we're saying the same things. Like what you're saying, I understand, and I experience the same myself. So appreciate that input. Brother Kefa, you ready for me? You are unleashed.
Shabbat Shalom.
Shabbat Shalom. How are you?
I speak right now. I speak life. I speak that your names will be written in the book of life. I speak that right now, and it shall be done.
Hallelujah.
But that was great, brothers, sisters. Brother Brian, the scripture that came to my mind was what you just said, Isaiah 55. You read my mind when you were sharing that. A lot of you guys read my mind. You know, so it was good. It was the Ruah was just working. A lot of things that Dee was saying and Milo was saying and Rob was saying, I was thinking a lot of it. So it was really good, Rick. It was really good. At first, in the beginning, I was like, where's this going? You know, I was trying to understand where it was going when it mentioned Adolf Hitler. I'm like, what is this? You know, you know what I'm saying? So
you're on that one. Did you see the face inside of that? There was a face inside of Adolf Hitler's image. There was a
it was kind of weird. I was
going to point that out in the video, and I forgot.
It was interesting. Yeah, it was interesting. I was like, what is this? This is different. But as time went on, you know, I understood where you was coming from, especially with the plants. I mean, that was the one that really, that was really good to me. And also when that guy was doing with the rice, you know, put the love and the hate. And, you know, those are the things I was like, wow, you know what? And it's true. I believe that because I've seen that in my life. I've seen that in my life. I gotten sick before. All right. I got, I have vitiligo. Right. And that was a main struggle in my life. Right. And I heard one Indian doctor told me, brother, let me tell you something. Protect your mind, protect your thoughts. If you believe that you're sick, you will be sick. And I took that, I really took that, I grasped it, and I was like, you know what? I believe what he's saying is true because it is in the word that we have to, you know, make sure we, you know, we're careful with our thoughts and our minds and what we said. And when he said that, I took that and made it more of like spiritual. And I was like, you know what? I'm going to protect my mind and I'm going to believe that I'm going to get better, but I got to take action. You can't just, you know, whatever you speak, you got to take action. Whatever you do, you got to take action because love is action. Love is a decision. You can't say you love somebody and then you don't display those actions. It's not an emotion. It's a decision. So as time went on, I started believing that I'm going to get better. I started praying to Yahuwah, I'm going to get better. And I believe and I have faith. But at the same time, I had to do the actions. I had to eat better. All these things. But I believed it in my mind that I will get better. And I saw it that I will get better. And I got better.
Hallelujah.
So I had displayed, it had been displayed in my life in the way I think and the things that I say, and they come into fruition. And that is so true. You know what I'm saying? Life is in the word. I mean, whatever you say, it's like when Yahusha said in the book of Deuteronomy, the curses that will come upon you if you don't obey, the blessings that you will get if you don't obey. What Yahuwah says, it will come. What everybody said is established, and if you don't follow it, then that's what it will be. The cursing and the blessings. And it's the same thing with us. We have that power in our voice. As the scripture said in the book of Hebrews, I believe it says that the words of Yah is living and active. It goes, it just goes, it penetrates. You know what I'm saying? So it's very important that we are mindful of what we say with our words, because it affects us around, it affects our bodies, it affects our families. And I see it when it comes to my family. I see when I say something to my son that is very stern, he gets emotional and he cries. And I'm saying it because I love him, but at the same time, he may not understand that, but I still got to give him that confirmation that I love him. So we have to have a balance. So it's really good, man. I love it, man. I think it was really good. And it took me to another level of really how much careful I need to be when it comes to what I express with my words. When I go to work, making sure that I'm speaking positive, encouragement, things like that to my brothers and sisters, especially to my family. So it is key that we are mindful. But truth is truth, though. Truth is truth. You know what I'm saying? If you speak in truth, it's truth. And if it hurts, it's truth. It's not negative. It's truth. You get what I'm saying? So, but it was really good, Rick, and I appreciate what you did, man. And it took me to an understanding more deeply in the Ruah. So when I say love right now, so I say I'm loving you right now, I see the molecule coming out right now. You see the molecules right now? But I love you, brothers, man. Awesome.
We love you too. We appreciate you and your encouraging words, your wisdom. That's why you're one of the elders, my friend. You show it to the brothers. You show the words, and now we can maybe have a better idea, so we can see how we need to continue in that positive reinforcement, encouraging words, giving the word. Now I understand more when he says, his word will not return to him void. So when he sent it out, it's going to accomplish. Well,
That's right.
same thing with us. Well, our words are going to accomplish what they're set out to do too, because there's power and life in it. There's life in this word here. So we got to choose it more wisely how we respond to one another. And if we can stay on that, we can do an experiment ourselves. Encouraging words, speak one over each person every day and see how they turn out in 30 days. How does it change your situation when you take a negative and you start putting the positive words of Yahuwah and scriptures in there, and the positive declaration that Yahuwah is going to do good for you. You speak in life over that situation, or death if you're trying to curse something. Because what did it say? When you bless it on earth, it's blessed in the heaven, right? Or cursed on earth is cursed in heaven, cursed on the earth. So it's going to do what we set it out to do. So we're responsible. We gotta take responsibility now for our words that we're gonna use to one another, our children. You're right, stern. There's a difference between being stern and correcting somebody out of love and getting that point across. There's barriers you can't cross, but keeping it on the positive side, and that'll I think that's going to change the course of your families, the course of your relationships with each other, husband and wife, as brother and sister, and Yahuwah and Yahusha, and your workers that you work with. I think our words now have the ability to affect the atmosphere, to change the emotions or the mood in the room, if you will, just by what we declare, our actions, our intentions. They say a smile will change something. You just smile at somebody, it's going to bring a smile to them, right? So that, in a sense, it's the same way. If we use an encouraging word, hopefully that's going to come back too. So that's good stuff, man.
There's power in the word, man.
Most certainly is. I guess we got to see that for real today. And that was the intention and purpose of this. All right, anybody else got anything that you want to raise your hands, speak up now? I don't want to just keep calling on folks if they're ready or not. There was a couple people I was hoping to have a discussion with today, but I don't see them here yet. So let me go down here real quick and see. I know that you on the phones here weren't able to see what we're talking about so much, but our discussions, I still want to give you an opportunity. Miranda, are you with us? Would you have anything you'd like to add this morning?
I do know that, you know, if you tell someone that they're stupid and ugly and they can't do anything right, that after, you know, a while they begin to believe it, and it really brings them down and puts them in a negative place. And if you tell them, you know, encouraging words that they're good, they're kind, they're smart, and they're pretty and things like that, they begin to believe it, and it shows on the outside. So yes, words can affect you sometimes worse or better than anything. Positive always begets positive, and negative begets negative. If you tell someone positive things, that's what you see the results of. You see that fruit. If you give negative to somebody all the time, it shuts them down. They hang their head. They don't want to be in this world anymore. It really is very powerful how words affect people and their surroundings and their environments and their state of mind.
Most certainly. All right. Well, thank you for that input, because you're right on target. Appreciate that. All right. I'm going to come to you, Demetrius. This is something I'd like to hear from you. Your thoughts this morning.
Good morning, everybody. Once again, and shalom. Yes, I totally agree with everything you said today. It was a great message. And you're absolutely right. Words are like a time bomb. You have to be very careful what you say to people and how you go about it. Your approach is very important. I had a very bad marriage. Don't like to really talk about it too much, but I'll take 3 words to my grave that my ex-wife said to me when I found out she was, cheating and committing adultery, and it was going to be the end of our marriage. And when I approached her about it, I thought she would try to lie or say whatever I thought that she wouldn't say. Her 3 words to me was, "It doesn't matter." And I kid you not, it took me about 3 years of praying hard to get that out of my system. I almost, when she said those words to me, "It doesn't matter," it hit me like a ton of bricks. I played football, college, high school, Pop Warner. I have never felt that much pain in my life from a hit compared to words that were said to me that day. And I had to pray hard. Brother D helped me. And it took me 3 years to get that out of my system. So now I'm neutral with her. I'm not her friend, but I'm neutral with her. We have joint custody of the kids. And I do my best to just be neutral and not, involve the kids in our dysfunction. But you're absolutely right, man. Words are dangerous, man. They can really hurt. I mean, you got bullies in school doing things to kids. And my daughter's 12 years old. I've heard some things she comes to me and say that kids say, and I'm like, wow. It is really dangerous, and the wickedness in this world is really a shame. And it's a great message, and we definitely got to spread this word to different people. Maybe they can pass it on to others, because it's got to slow down and actually stop, because it's really dangerous. It has caused people to be killed. Some of the words they have said to others and don't realize what they're really saying. It's a dangerous thing. So it's a great message today, and I'm very happy to be part of the group today. It really touched me, because I know what words can do to a person, because I was destroyed for 3 years till Yahushua will put me back together. And thanks to Yah, I'm telling you, I know He was there for me because without him, I don't know, I maybe would have went to prison. I mean, it's just that simple. I wanted to hurt her that day. And he told me, no, son, back off. Get out the house, get away from her, go cool down, go pray, call some of your family, and get yourself together. Because, you know, things happen every day where people don't have God in their heart, don't have Yah in their heart to protect them from that evilness. And the wickedness of a tongue can really destroy things. It really can cause problems. So I love the message, and thank you very much.
Hallelujah. Well, thank you for your input. Appreciate sharing that with us, because that this goes again to show how destructive words can be. And it's just those simple words, just a few different simple words. It really
exactly 3 simple words. I mean, it doesn't matter. With 4 kids involved, with me helping her family, I mean, it was like, I kid you not, man. I mean, I've got hit. I have torn my ACL playing football. I have broken ribs playing football. Nothing hurt more than those 3 words to this day in my life. You know, so I've got over it, and amen to that. You know.
Hallelujah. Well, that's what matters there. That's what matters. That's a good testimony. And
yeah, thank you.
We all can learn from that for sure. So appreciate your input. That helps us see things even a little more clear.
Exactly. I appreciate you, every one of you, and amen to everybody.
All right. Shabbat shalom to you, my friend.
Shabbat shalom.
All right, Kathy, I'm going to come to you, and then if no more hands go up, we're going to end that. Anything you'd like to add this morning with this?
I think everything's been said, Rick. I agree with everybody's comments, and everything was well said, well put. And I will watch that video. So thank you for this message.
You're welcome. Thank you for your input. All righty. Anybody else before we end this recording? Going once? Going twice? All righty. Shabbat shalom, everyone. Enjoy the rest of your day.